Hello and welcome to the Arsenal Therapy Pod, and you're watching the 15-minute show today. I'm joined today by Monty. You can find him on Twitter at MontyOfficial. Welcome, Monty. How are you doing?
Not too bad, mate. How are you? Just buzzing as a
Yeah,
game later as well.
yeah, I'm good. I'm good. So, looking forward to seeing us on a proper pitch this week. So, after some of the horrendous surfaces we've watched in America.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So, just to get us started, as usual, we'll start with a few quick fire questions. Are you ready to go?
Go ahead, mate. Hit me with your best shot.
So first off, will Declan Rice start against Monaco?
Yeah, I think so. I think he needs minutes.
If Arsenal sign David Raya, does he replace Aaron Ramsdale at some point this season? So not instantly, just at some point.
Yeah, I see it going 50-50, but yeah.
And is Arsenal's interest in Djibril Sow genuine?
Oh, I see him as the new. I saw in the links count. I see him as the new El Neni 2.0. So I don't see why not.
And is 5 million good business for Auston Trusty?
No.
Okay, let's start with that one. So obviously that's the one that yesterday Sky Sports had the story going that it was around 5 million. Looks like terms had been agreed. So tell me your thinking behind that. You obviously don't think it's good business.
No.
Happy to hear why.
I mean, you're talking about player of the year for Birmingham last season. Scored multiple goals, even game-winning goals. Solid defensively, good passer, young. I mean, he's in a part of the US setup as well. I just think he's a decent player. I mean, the fact that we'd probably get more for Rob Holding than we would for Trusty is worrying. I just rate him. I watched Trusty last season. I watched a couple of games. I didn't watch every game, but when I did watch him, he was solid. He was solid. So I think we should have at least been able to get 10 million for him. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with the 5, to be honest, because of, I guess it's the quick get him in. It's 3.5 million profit, get him out on loan, and it's getting money into the till basically for Arsenal. And given how bad we are at selling, it feels like a very low lift one for us, where the amount of work involved, there's been no development time at Arsenal. We haven't seen him yet. I was thinking 8 to 10 whenever the window opened. But at the same time, if we can get 5 at this point, I'd be happy getting some money in, because we are entering into August now and you obviously want money in the till. But just on Rob Holding, there was that 2.5 million bid rejected last week or the week before, which was incredibly low. What do you think Rob Holding will go for?
Probably be 5, 6, 7 million around that. I mean, he's Premier League experienced. Yeah, he's not the best in the league, but he knows what he's doing. He's won trophies before. He's been in an experienced team, an experienced setup. Yeah, I don't see why he shouldn't at least go for 6, 7 million.
Yeah, for Holding, I would like to think closer to 10, to be honest, given that he has won stuff. He has been a relatively solid player. And I think the issue with Rob Holding is because he's not at the standard to play for this current Arsenal team, which, let's face it, we've got the best centre half in the world playing in his position now.
Yeah.
So, like, you're talking about that role, how specific it is, the demands on the ball, off the ball. Essentially, at times, Gabriel and Saliba are playing as an isolated two, and they can boss defenders, especially Saliba. He can not only do that, he can then win the ball, Cruyff turn, beat someone just with a drop of the shoulder, off he goes. All those things that we don't really see in centre backs. And then the drop off to Holding is massive. But actually, I think put him in a mid-table team or a team that plays a 3. You've got a very, very competent defender there. And I genuinely think someone could be getting a bargain for Rob Holding this season, because you restore his confidence. And I think put him in the right team and start to rebuild him a bit, that'll come back very quickly. And it's just the level No, we are seeing that more. There are certain players. I think Sambi Lokonga is a bit of a victim of this as well, where he's come in, he's got talent, but we've just progressed so fast. Had we have kind of developed as a team that we're still competing for fourth, Sambi's development probably would have been in line with the rest of the team. But actually, we've got players like Saka and Martinelli, Saliba, who have just like taken right off and gone to a whole other level and had us pushing for titles. So these players are a bit of a victim of the team's success, and unfortunately, you have to cut loose at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so Djibril Sow, that story came out yesterday. There's some links in Football London and so on. That basically a deal has been agreed, but apparently Arsenal are aggressively trying to enter talks for him. So how much do you know about Sow? And you've obviously said you thought the interest was genuine. So tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, I've only seen a few games. I've just watched a few Frankfurt games yesterday. Just a good team to watch in the Bundesliga. The thing that you get with him is he's literally an El Neni. I see him as just sort of the patch up player that would get. He won't start for us. I don't see him coming in and challenging the likes of, I don't know, Declan Rice, Partey, potentially even Timber and Havertz. You know what I mean? He's same sort of player as El Neni. He can pass left and right extremely well. He does good progressive passes. The only issue I remember seeing with him his tackling's a little bit wayward. Like he can sort of like get the odd card here and there, just sort of a reckless challenge. I mean, it's a good and a bad thing because you want to see people trying. Do you know what I mean? And I'm sure that can be coached to improve his timing. But I like the deal. I like the deal if we go for it. We need those auxiliary players who can patch in, that have experience playing in games and in sort of the local trophies and stuff, which he has done at Frankfurt. And if we can get him for sort of that 10 to 13 million, I say go for it.
Yeah, so I'll be honest, I don't know anything about him. I've never watched him play. So I did a bit of reading about him before we started recording. So from where you've seen him, has he been more of a 6? Is he an 8? Or is he
both.
kind of
He
both?
can play both. Yeah, he can. So when Frankfurt was set up, especially last season, they sort of changed shape defensively. Kind of similar to what Arsenal do. They sort of changed shape going forward and defensively. So when he's defensively, he looks more at like a 6 position, sort of that sweeper sort of 6. And then when he goes forward, he becomes a box to box. But he didn't really get like as many hours as he would have liked, to be fair. That's what I mean. He's more of an auxiliary player, but he is a versatile auxiliary player. So
Yeah.
if we need to, say if we I don't know, a goal up and we need to just keep a goal and our midfield is tired, he could definitely come in and be the 6. He could come in and be an 8 if anyone gets injured, and he can come in and step up and be the backup for the injured player, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So,
I guess the question is that what we need, or is this an opportunity that the club think he's got talent, he could develop further, and it's trying to work out the inner workings of Mikel's mind.
I think he's like 26 though, isn't he?
I'm not sure
exactly. I think he's sort of mid-20s. I might be wrong.
Yes, he's 26. You're right.
Yeah, I was gonna say because he looks more mature.
Yeah.
But honestly, when I saw him, when I playing, I only watched him play like 1 or 2 games just because I watched a couple of Frankfurt games. Reminds me of El Neni. Like same profile, same sort of player. Can pass short, can pass medium, can pass well. The only thing he doesn't have that El Neni does is a screamer in his back pocket.
Yeah.
Because El Neni still to this day has the most insane highlight reel I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen someone score just bangers like Mohamed El Neni does. It's crazy. It's literally
and
crazy.
save them all for the Europa League or Barcelona away.
Yeah.
So yeah, but the big story this week is David Raya. So this one is very, very interesting. It's one that's definitely divided people on social media. There is that very much the usual as you can imagine from Arsenal fans, it's shiny new toy syndrome. It's like, and with Ramsdale, it's not. I personally rate Ramsdale really highly. I think there's a really, really top quality keeper in there. I've been very vocal about my praise of him and his development. However, there is no denying that there's a lot of Arsenal fans that don't rate Aaron Ramsdale, and he does split the opinion of the fans. We know he makes mistakes, but we also know he makes huge saves, and especially in big away games, Tottenham away, even the Brentford game, he made a massive save early on in that game, and had that have gone
Leicester
in,
as well.
that game was probably 3-0 Brentford or Bournemouth and out of our reach. So the Liverpool game too. So his issue is very much concentration, but at 25, he is a very young keeper. So the big one for me with this is the Athletic story very much focuses on that he will be coming in to compete with Aaron Ramsdale for number one. It wasn't Arsenal see an opportunity as a strong backup. It was the fact that it's coming in to compete for number one. So you said that you thought he could displace Ramsdale this season. Just tell me a bit of your thinking behind that.
I mean, David Raya, I think anyone who watched Brentford last season, he was effectively one of the reasons they stayed so high up the table. Fantastic shot stopper. He's a better shot stopper than Ramsdale. There's no denying that, but Ramsdale has better distribution. I like the deal. I like all of it. And it's not that I don't like Ramsdale. I'm like you. I rate Ramsdale, but I think Ramsdale, because Matt Turner, I think there was when the MLS All Stars game, Ramsdale was talking about someone asked him a question, who would win out of you and Matt Turner, and he confidently said, "Oh, I'd do it. I'd smash him. I'd beat him." Like there must clearly be in training a huge gap in quality between the two of them, and he's just getting complacent. That's probably why Arteta wants to bring in sort of David Raya, because David Raya is a very good goalkeeper. Like it would literally be a case of like you make one mistake in a game, the next one's in the next game until he makes a mistake, and then it's the next one in. So if we can do it and we can keep both goalkeepers happy, which is going to be difficult, I'm all for it. I'm all for this deal. I think because they are both fantastic goalkeepers. They'll be the best goalkeepers we've had since when we had Leno and Ramsdale together, or Martinez and Leno. I don't know what it is. We always seem to have quite deep goalkeeper recently, anyway.
It's one that it definitely, I guess, I'm less sold on this move than other moves. I get the theory behind it. It's more the kind of how that works in practice with how do you keep two keepers that happy. And the other big thing about Raya is this isn't, I think maybe this is a market opportunity, but at the same time, it's based off long-term interest. It's not a case of a player's become available and the club have just thought, oh, he's a decent player. He was Arteta's first choice target. Was it 2020 that we bid twice? And when Brentford were still in the championship, obviously Iñaki Kanya is our goalkeeping coach. He was someone that he brought Raya to Brentford. And the other interesting thing about Raya is he actually classes as a homegrown player. So he's just been in England for so long. So there are so many boxes that this guy ticks. And obviously the long-term interest in him shows that this isn't just a market opportunity in the way that when Man United see a market opportunity or Chelsea see it, for example, this is very much this guy ticks a lot of boxes for us. Interestingly, if you look at Raya's numbers, he ranks very much within the top keepers in the league. The only thing about goalkeeper numbers is they are very hard to judge. So when you compare those stats to an outfield player, they are difficult to really evaluate. One of those key ones for me that's really hard to judge is he's number one for long passes. I remember him at the Emirates and he was superb that day. But the other man that was superb was Ivan Toney. And I think Toney won 11 headers that day. And he was ridiculous. And Saliba did a good job dealing with him, but he still beat him time and time again for headers. And if you've got an Ivan Toney in your team who's literally like glued to those long balls, it's very easy to come out as the number one keeper for long passes, because I don't think there's a better player, certainly in the Premier League, than Ivan Toney when it comes to winning those long balls and getting the flick-ons and everything. He is very much the best. So he would have a different kind of set of tools to deal with at Arsenal in that sense. Jesus is he's a scrappy player. He doesn't always win the first ball, but he causes problems, enabling the Arsenal to win the second ball. And that's very much his job. So, but again, like even the goal against Barcelona the other night, was it Trossard's goal, where it goes long, Jesus causes havoc with the defender, it bounces off, it goes to Trossard, and he scores. That's an incomplete pass for Ramsdale, but actually the pass went exactly where it should have gone to. So that's why I always find these numbers a bit difficult to really rationalize and look at with just in pure number form. But yeah, on to the game against Monaco. So I don't know about you, but I'm really looking forward to seeing Arsenal on a decent pitch and hopefully with some decent camera work, because some of the camera work in the States has been really poor. So, so tell me, what are your feelings going into that game? Who are you looking forward to seeing? How do you think we'll line up?
I'm looking forward to the game just because, I mean, it's what, last game until a competitive game with City in the Com Shield. I mean, like you said, lovely to see the Emirates again. We're probably going to win the Emirates Cup again. How do we set up? I don't know, actually. It depends if sort of Zinny becomes fit. I'd like to see Tierney on the ball again. Do we do Timber? Do we do White? Not too sure. I definitely think Rice needs some minutes. Just to get some minutes just before the City game. Up front.
Yeah, because Rice has only played, if I'm right, half against United and about 30 minutes against the All-Stars.
Yeah, hasn't played too long. And he just had the little niggle in his calf. Well, nothing major, but
yeah,
he needs
it was
minutes.
a kick.
Yeah, he needs minutes. I'm trying to think up front. Hopefully Martinelli gets some minutes. Trossard's had quite a few minutes. And then maybe we'd have to get Saka in, but I'm thinking maybe getting Nketiah up front, because it looks like Balogun's going, so I don't see him getting any minutes.
Balogun's also recovering from a calf injury as well.
Yeah, I just want to see just a solid team, good solid team. The midfield, so I want to see Havertz again. What I want to try and see is Rice and Partey next to each other, maybe for like a half, and then Rice and Havertz, because the Rice and Havertz, when we played Man United, looked very disjointed. It's only because they've only had a few training sessions with each other, so that's expected.
One of the things on that, I could see us starting the season with Partey, given that Rice is at a bit of a disjointed preseason. There's obviously that stability required to start the season. Thomas Partey looks like an absolute animal at the minute. He just looks really fit, really sharp. And to be fair to Thomas, generally, he has started seasons quite well. There was 1 year he started with a knock and missed the first few games, but he tends to come back in quite good shape. So again, now that he's staying, I don't see any reason why not to use him. Rice hasn't had the same level of minutes or training sessions during preseason. So it's just because we've got him doesn't mean we have to use him straight away. We've seen City not use De Bruyne at times. It's really only in that City team. It was Haaland and Rodri that played the most minutes last season. Everyone else was rotated. So even at the back, with Ruben Diaz was out for periods, and they got everyone playing. Their squad's not massive, but it's just packed with quality. And I would like to see us getting potentially Partey starting with Havertz again, and seeing the interesting one for me is going to be the left back position, as you said, with Zinchenko. Arteta said in his press conference he would be back soon, but didn't give a time frame. So if he is available, definitely I'd like to see him at least get half an hour. But the interesting one will be, does he play Timber there again? Does he play Tierney in there? Or does he go with Kiwior? So it's crazy. We've now got 3 or 4 different options that we're talking about with a player being out. And that for me will be the big one, because I can imagine it'll be Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, Ramsdale, then probably Partey ahead of them. And Havertz very much seems to be the player being prepped for that 8th position, because every game he's been playing there. So we'll see. But the other one is Trossard. Right now, he's looking a lot sharper than Martinelli. Do you start him going into the season and ease Martinelli in as well? Because this is a luxury that we've got that we didn't have before.
I mean, I think Trossard probably should start. Just purely, he's just been on fire. And then see how it goes. And then if we need a bit more pace injected in the game, that's when you bring Martinelli on.
Yeah,
they're both weapons. They're both honestly weapons. So I'm happy with whoever starts. You're not going to see me in Twitter being like, I can't believe he's done this.
Yeah.
It's like, do you know what I mean? And like you said, yeah, it's a luxury to have. Whereas last season, I think the team picked itself, especially at the start of the season. Trossard started bringing in headaches towards the end of the season. And that's what we want. We want headaches all over the pitch. That's why Arteta wants David Raya. He doesn't even want the players to know which goalies they're going up against.
Yeah. And
so,
one of the other interesting one just on the left as well is Emile Smith-Rowe. I would love to see him get a start in the game. It's just that kind of who do you drop, because it's not just the starting 11, it's now the second group of players what would have been the second group of players, they're all pushing now, and Smith-Rowe's looking good. So I think the more minutes we can get into his legs as well. So as you say, it's great because we've got so many players that we can be like, yeah, great, happy days, another strong lineup.
100%. As like I said, we can go deep in different competitions, because I think the one thing I was looking at particularly in the Barcelona game was the drop off from certain positions. So from my left back, there's no drop off. Centre back is a lot more sure now. I'd like to see Tomiyasu get some minutes, or is he still injured?
Yeah. Tomiyasu was on the bench the other night.
Yeah,
so
I'd like to see him get some minutes.
He's another one. It is crazy now when you think he was one of our best players 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And then like midfield stacked. Vieira's now closed the gap to our Ødegaard. I mean, he's not Ødegaard because Ødegaard's probably the second best 10 in the league after De Bruyne, obviously. And he's been looking sharp, adding goals to his tally as well. It's just the main thing. Especially from last season, the drop off in certain positions was huge. And we saw that, especially sort of centre back was sort of the key one. And now we're closing that gap. We're closing the gap in all the positions. So yeah, it's scary, not for us.
Yeah, it's exactly where we want it to be. But we will wrap up the show there, and we will be back on Thursday with, and we'll have a bit of a run through of the game afterwards as well. So Monty, thanks for joining us today. It's been great to have you on the show as always. And thank you to everyone that's watched up to this point. As always, please hit that like and subscribe button. And thank you to everyone that's been following us so far. Our numbers have been growing really well week on week. So please help us continue that. And thanks for joining. Have a great day, everyone. And we will see you again on Thursday.